Good evening. Welcome to Modern Spiritualists Live. So happy to be back on air. Now, we did move our time, we have moved, and we've added a new seat to the table with Miss Firefly. How are you, darling?
I'm very good, thank you. How's yourself?
Oh, I'm doing wonderful. Um, so, as everyone can hear, you're from Britain, which is amazing. What
I
part?
am. I'm originally born in an old mining village called the Rhondda of South Wales,
Okay.
but now I'm living in sunny old Norfolk where all the farmers are, so just outside London.
Ah, so you can easily get to London a lot then.
London is actually 40 minutes by train.
Oh goodness. Like I would be living there, I swear, because for me it's a lot of wanting to, explore London, get comfortable with London, but there's so much historical stuff there. So with your mediumship abilities, I bet that's tiring.
I try and close off before I go into London because, as you can imagine, there's millions of people. But even
Mm-hmm.
when I'm walking around, I got things popping out here, there, and everywhere at me, and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm a celebrity. Get me out of here.
Exactly.
But it's one place I would definitely say go and visit.
Yeah. And plan to have fun. Plan to be, to have comfortability there. Um, so do you mind doing readings while we talk if they pop in?
No, that's fine. You carry on and we'll do what we
Awesome.
need to do.
Well, we're still working out the kinks of how we're going to run our show. So I was like, let's make them give their, I don't know, name and birth date and a question. We're not doing general.
No, general is too, how can I put this? General, I find, is too general, if that makes sense.
Right.
Specific questions are what they want the answers to. So ask the specific questions.
Yes. And we have to have what we need to connect. So, uh, full birth date. We want that year. We want to keep the lawyers happy, shall we?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, especially with you in England, do you have any other regulations or anything that you have to deal with? Because I know in the States it's kind of like the gray area, and we go off of a lot of what England has put in place because
Yeah.
that's where the networks is.
In
What about
England,
you?
we the same as you. Got to be over 18.
Mm-hmm.
Can't do health, pregnancy,
Yep.
legal. We also have to be insured as well.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
liability insurance.
Insurance. Well, and I think that's very important overall.
Yes,
Yeah. Even if you're not in England or working on an English network, to carry malpractice insurance or liability insurance.
definitely.
Yeah. Now, don't you also have to be registered there?
We got to I don't know how you do it with you, but over
Uh
here
huh.
we have to be registered with the HMRC.
Uh huh.
That's Her Majesty's. I gotta think now. Her Majesty's Custom Unit.
Uh huh.
So that's how we pay our taxes and
Uh
all our
huh.
national insurance. So
Uh
by
huh.
law, we have to be registered by them as a business.
Ah, okay. See, I was wondering if, well, that brings me to another thing. Is it now His Majesty's special conditions or whatever?
It
Or
should
did
be, but I think they're still in the process of swapping everything over.
Yeah, that's been a big thing with the British government is trying to swatch everything from HRC, Her Majesty to His Majesty,
Yeah.
and that's going to be interesting. So when did you start reading?
I've known from a very young age I could read,
Mm-hmm.
but coming from a little mining village growing up, it wasn't the
Mm-hmm.
done thing. As
Uh
you can
huh.
imagine, it was everybody was a miner, nothing else was thought about. You
Mm-hmm.
was a proper old housewife where you scrubbed the front doorstep and, the
Mm-hmm.
usual
Right.
fairy tale knot.
Right. Well,
And
it's
then,
not a fairy tale because there's a lot when your man comes home from the coal mines. Because I live in West Virginia, I know that means nothing to you, but we live on coal.
yeah, yeah,
So when your man comes home from the coal mines, it's like I just mop that floor, knock your boots off there, and go straight to the shower in the
yeah,
basement. Do you
yeah.
all have the basement showers too, or the garden
We
showers?
some of the houses do because I'm in a two-story house.
Uh huh.
But a lot of the new builds they're building now are 3 stories high.
Uh huh.
But when I was younger and lived in Wales, as the men come out of the mines, we used to have a big steel iron bath out the garden that they had to get in and bath before they were allowed in the house.
Uh huh. See the same thing here, except it's in the It's instead of the garden, it's in our basement,
Yeah,
and it's a shower or whatever. It's like you don't come in my front door. That's the
yeah.
reason here we leave the back door open so the husband can come home and go downstairs and shower before he comes into the clean house.
And then I qualified as a teacher.
Uh huh.
And then when I was teaching, all of a sudden, it was in a matter of a few years, I lost my mum.
Mm-hmm.
That was heartbreaking because I had to identify my mum over the phone.
Right.
So then I was travelling to Wales and I said, because my dad had come up to pick me up to take me back. And I
Mm-hmm.
said, on the way to Wales, Dad, stop the car. And he said, what? I said, stop the car. And I got out the car and I started vomiting really profusely. And as I was vomiting, the hospital phoned and said, your mum have just died.
Ooh, goodness.
So it was that way. I knew there and then that I needed to work with spirit, as
Mm-hmm.
strange as that sounds. And then a few months after my mum, it was my nan. A few months after my nan, it was my uncle. And that was a knock on effect for the next few years. Every
Mm-hmm.
few months, I'd lose a member of my family. And I
Uh-huh.
thought, everything happens for a reason. Yes, it was heartbreaking, but it also pushed me to do something that I had supposed to have been doing all along.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I realized spirit are calling you. They need you to work for them.
Right.
And that's when I gave up my teaching job and I started doing my readings full time.
Uh-huh. And do you think that that was your chakra opening up?
I do. I do.
Yeah,
Definitely.
because I've heard, from like, you know what Reiki is, I believe.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
I cannot have any Reiki done anywhere near my solar plexus, or I will vomit constant, just
Yeah.
total upchuck. Most psychics that I find that are worth their salt, um, they have very sensitive solar plexus, and I'm like, oh, so your solar plexus opened up and said, we don't need this material here, out of the way.
Yeah. And the other thing I can't do is my friend is a Reiki healer.
Hmm.
I can't have Reiki healing done
Yeah.
because weeks after I'm really unwell.
Hmm.
So that's taught me straight away, don't go anywhere near it.
Right. Well, I'm the one when spirit says, "Oh, you don't want to do that." I'm like, "Why?" And they're like, "You'll figure it out." So I
Yeah,
learn because I have my Reiki masters, and it's like, "Oh, this is the reason why." Is because your solar plexus are a set motion to connect with energy.
yeah,
Your throat chakra is a set motion to connect with energy, and it's like, yeah, I can do it on other people. Don't touch me.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah. So
And
I enjoy that, exploring that. It's not a gift I get to use as often because here in the United States it's kind of like, where are you going to do it at, out of your house,
yeah,
that type of thing. And it's like I don't have a room to put a bed in and all this other stuff for it, so I do it once in a while at events. So you were teaching and then you became a full-time reader. Did you
yeah.
take any classes while you were there, because you guys have some fabulous training there?
Mine came, this is going to sound really random. My gift came from my great great nan
Uh-huh.
because my nan was Irish.
Mm-hmm.
And as I was growing up, my nan used to give me cards. And she
Mm-hmm.
said, cherish these cards, you're going to be needing them. And
Uh-huh.
as I was growing up, I was like, Nan, this is going to happen. That's going to happen. And she looked at me one day and she went, what are you wasting your life for? And I was like, what? She said, why ain't you doing what you're supposed to do? And
Uh-huh.
I looked at her and I said, don't be stupid. And what would that be? And she said, you know what it is. And that's when I knew that
Uh-huh.
it's what I had to do. But then, while I was teaching, I also went to Cambridge University.
Uh-huh.
And I done an A-level in information advice and guidance. Now that course should have taken 3 years. I passed it in 6 months. So I knew then that was my calling. I needed to go
Uh-huh.
back to do it.
Right. Now tell us about this course because I've not heard about this one. Is it
This is
designed for psychics or what?
it's a bit of everything. A bit of everything. Is a lot of psychics do it, but it
Mm-hmm.
also gives us information about, oh, this is going to sound so horrible. You know what it's like when we're working with clients who are delicate,
Mm-hmm.
if I use that as the word.
Yes.
It
Yes.
taught us how to be more proactive with pulling them back when they're on that edge,
Uh-huh.
if you understand what I
I
mean.
totally understand what you mean. I think our audience does too, because we have to watch
And
some of the
be
words we
careful.
use.
Yeah, and I'm trying to be respectful because I know
Right.
we've all been there ourselves. Myself,
Exactly.
probably you have in your time,
Hmm.
you
I think
know, and
anyone that goes through spiritual growth has to go through what I call the darkness of the soul. And
yes,
it's
yeah,
all the darkness of the soul. You know.
definitely. And
Yeah.
that helped me to work in different words which could help people. And as you
Hmm.
know, coming from all over the world, one word to me is something different to yourself,
Exactly.
as we've
And
learned in meetings.
yeah, we've learned in meetings. But what was funny is, we met just a couple months ago in meetings, and it was like we clicked because we're both like, this could be an email. How could they
Yes,
be doing this? What's the planet of it? What planetary alignment taught these people to say that?
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think
So it's been fun.
what our audience need to understand as well is we've got the new way of working with spirit, the
Hmm.
very modern way, and the old-fashioned way. Now, myself and yourself, we are
Hmm.
old school, so to speak. We
Yes.
work with spirit the old-fashioned way.
Right.
And I think that's where we differ to a lot of other readers.
Uh huh. Yeah.
And you're very much like me. We won't beat around the bush.
No.
When we're asked the question, is he going to come back to me? It's no good saying, well, he might, but a client wants to know a straight head on answer. That's
Yeah.
why they come to us.
Yeah.
And
They
that's one of
do.
my big things, like yourself, is
Uh
you
huh.
give the direct answer and speak then about the situation.
Right. And where that situation comes from. And let's delve into that. We got to take a break. We'll come back and we'll dive into that much more because, that kind of leads into, what type of decks we use and why we use that deck
Yes.
or that method. All right.
I found out that my husband had been cheating on me, and my whole world turned upside down.
I stressed over any and everything, constantly waiting for the next shoe to drop.
I was attracted to a psychic advisor to get clarity.
I was like, there's no way that's real. But the things that were coming up felt so accurate.
I really need that unbiased, non-judgmental advice. If there's some part of your life that is not quite fitting in, you maybe want to try something that you haven't tried before.
Try psychic reading on your phone. Your first 3 minutes are free. First, choose a topic or method. Second, choose a psychic. Third, start a call or chat. The first 3 minutes are on us. Install Zodiac Psychics now. Talk to a gifted and trusted psychic advisor.
All right, welcome back. So, which decks do you like using? Are you a Rider-Waite, a Thoth, an Oracle? Which decks do you tend to gravitate to?
I use the White Snake deck.
Ooh.
That was handed down to me.
Uh-huh.
They're tattered, they're bruised, they're black and white. They've been through the mill, they've been chewed, they've been everywhere you can think of. They're falling apart, but I will not replace this deck.
Right.
Because they're my cards, if that makes sense.
Oh, it totally makes sense, honey. It totally makes sense. And, that is a nice foundational deck. That's a deck you don't see that often.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a Rider-Waite deck person. I am a tarot purist when it comes to it, meaning I want it as close as Patricia created the deck as I can find.
Yes.
Right now, I use the Gilded Tarot mostly. I have another deck that is called the Luscious Tarot, and it looks like both of them looks like it came right off her artboard. I do love events once in a while, and I was going to do a live event that was, Hobbit theme, Lord of the Rings theme. So I went and bought the Lord of the Rings tarot deck. Honey, that poor tarot deck. Let me tell you what happened to it. The High Priestess and the Empress got pissed off, grabbed every other woman in the deck, and left. And I'm like, I can't read with this deck. There's no feminine energy in this deck.
Yeah. Like, I've got... Oh, sorry, go on.
Oh, no, you go on, darling.
I've got cards, you're saying that. You'll have to bear with me because I've got shelves up here with all my cards.
That's fine, honey. Your deck is... I bet your desk is much like mine. It looks like it's stuck in the middle of a library.
Like, these cards I had bought for me. These cards are useless to me. I don't click with them.
What are they?
They're from abroad, they are. They're what one of my clients bought me. I don't know the name of them.
Right.
I'm a great believer.
None of that. Yeah.
No, I just don't click with them. I'm a great believer in we don't buy our own cards for us. Okay, somebody else buys our cards for us. And then my son bought me these for my birthday.
Oh, a beautiful box.
They're Rider-Waite, as you've said about, but, and this is the other thing, they're too big to use.
Those are teaching cards. He's trying to get you to teach him how to read.
Look how big they are.
Those are teaching cards, honey. Save those for your videos because that's when they're big enough to see in the video.
They stay in their little box where they belong for now. But so it's as you've said, you've got to click with your cards to use them.
Right.
And that's a big thing.
Right. That's a very big thing. And you've got to know that, but each deck talks differently. Like White Snack is probably a very soothing, calm, relaxed deck. Whereas like the Thoth deck I have, he talks in freaking riddles. Like you need a psychology course to understand that deck. Every client that picks that deck, we're going to be talking psychology and mental energy and everything like that. That's why I'm like, no, I've got to have this deck, this style, this appearance, this thickness, this size to even use them. Because I've got a deck like that I use that like yours that your son got you that I use for teaching. It's because they're huge. They look huge on video. They look huge in person. The person in the back of the class can see that white rose that I'm talking about or that lily over here because the decks have so much symbolism in them. And since you've worked with other decks, that's something important that that you need to sometimes ask readers is what deck are you using?
Yes. Yeah.
And it's because so that you understand how that message is spreading and going with that. Do you do that? Because I know with my email readings, I always include definitions, and I've not seen many people do that.
With myself, when I first started working for Tunica,
Right.
we were told we weren't allowed to mention the cards that we pulled out.
Okay.
This was when they first started. And
Uh
because
huh.
I've always worked in that way where I've never discussed what cards I've pulled out,
Uh
I
huh.
don't do that only for our big readings that we do.
Right.
But then with Zodiac, I
Uh huh.
do, if somebody asks me what cards I've pulled out, I will tell them.
Uh huh.
But the other thing as well that I think our viewers need to be aware of, you and me could pull the same card,
And
but
we're
they
not going
got
to read anything.
exactly because we all work in different ways, and a card could be the same, but the readings we do in are on different subjects.
Right. Well, even, and I've done this with students, the same deck, the same cards, the same questions. The cards are going to speak different between
Yes,
me and you, and here's why. If I'm talking to my friend on the phone, I'm going to talk differently than you talk to the same person,
yes,
and they're going to
yeah,
talk differently to you. Um, and that's something important. We're going to get similar. Like, yeah, he's going to call or he's going to text you, but it's going to also be a little bit different because I'm going to pick up maybe his motive of the call, what he wants out of the call, what information he's seeking out of the call. You're going to possibly pick up his emotions and what
yeah,
he really feels, and and it's because our personalities,
yes,
you know, we're both very straightforward. It's like this dude's useless, but we're sometimes a little bit different in how we mitigate it. So but I also don't think you need 30 of us.
no, no.
Find one or two that you mesh with.
I was actually just going to say that a lot of our clients bump from reader to reader.
Mm-hmm.
That gives them conflicting
Mm-hmm.
answers. It confuses the situation so much.
Mm-hmm.
So I always advise clients to stick to two readers, not
Mm-hmm.
because I want them as a client. They
Yeah.
choose who they want to read with. But I think it's important for the stability of themselves and
Mm-hmm.
important that they can see which channel they're going on
Right.
rather than Tom, Dick, and Harry. One of them said, yes, it's going to happen. Somebody else says no, and somebody else says maybe. That plays with people's minds. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm a great believer, like yourself, of sticking to one or two readers.
Right. And here's why I say that. And you guys, at home can do this.
Yeah,
Get you an Apple phone, get you an Android phone, and get you your laptop. Choose a location, any location you like. Pop it in and ask for directions. Okay? Every one of them is going to give different directions, but
yes,
similar. Are you going to get to the end results? Yes, you're going to get the end results of being at Buckingham Palace, but it may take you 14 different ways to get there.
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
And I agree with you totally. And I think as well, and as you said, we got viewers, you
Mm-hmm.
need to build up a rapport with a reader
Mm-hmm.
because you need to build trust within that reader so that
Mm-hmm.
you can have that bond. Because
Right.
every reader and client need a bond to work together, as you know yourself.
Yeah, right. Right. Not only do they need that bond, but they need an understanding. Like,
Yes,
and I'm going to say this, and people, I am not trying to get you. Please understand, I am very like, get in there, get out. Don't be bothered with the details of the socks or the shoes. Just how the date goes, where's the relationship, that type of thing. If you really have a great question and it's something that can be summed up, do that 3-minute reading. See if that
yes,
reader clicks with you. But if they do, and you want more details, go back and get more details with that
Yeah.
reader. If you're on Fortunica, the public board's a great place to start getting into, single questions or whatever. But if you really want to get in and sit into and get all your information, go private. Because that's
What
where a
I
lot more can be said.
yeah, and what I like about Fortunica and Zodiac working together now
Yeah.
is if you have a list of questions, you can
Mm-hmm.
find most of our readers from Fortunica on Zodiac. So
Mm-hmm.
it works out better to have that long conversation on Zodiac
Mm-hmm.
than having a one or two question on
Right.
Fortunica.
Fortunica. Right. And then, we've got Modern Spiritual where if you need to really just have a full session, you
Yeah,
can hop in there and do a full session. It's a bucket price. You pay one price, you have the full session. So it all kind of ties in. And what I'm loving with this new unifying galaxy of psychic energy is it's able to fit every need. You want video? Great.
yes,
Purple Ocean's got it ready for you. But maybe you're at home and you don't want to, I don't know, we'll throw it out there, put on a shirt. Great. Come over to Zodiac. And you can't talk because the boyfriend's in the room. Yes, I had those readings with the boyfriend sitting right beside you. I know he's
yes,
there. You think I don't? I know he's there. You can sit there and text with us. Or you don't have time to sit for a reading. Great. You don't have time to be a sitter? Great. Hop over to Fortunica, send your question through. We can get it answered and you can read the question.
yes, yeah. And that's what I like is with the world as it is at the moment with the financial
Mm-hmm.
crisis,
Mm-hmm.
we are offering a service that is available on a multitude of price ranges.
Right.
So
Right.
we are catering for everybody, not
Right.
just the people who want this big reading that can't
Mm-hmm.
afford it. On Fortunica, you can buy the questions as you need them. And I think
Right.
that's beneficial to people
Very.
who, yeah, like, as you know, people are having at the moment struggling to pay their bills. So if they
They
got
are.
a few pound left, they'll come to Fortunica, which is good because they're
Mm-hmm.
still getting the help that they need.
Right. And it's a great thing to deal with a single question like, is my boyfriend useful? Am I getting the job? Should I go to, oh goodness, I don't know what the equal is, so you're going to have to translate it for me because there's an equal. The unemployment office.
We call that the benefit system.
Benefit system, yeah. The Europeans, all the Europeans have a lovely, better way of saying the way we say it here.
Yeah,
Um, is that going to work for me? Should I, do this, do that? That's great for single hits. Now,
yeah,
each week, the last 15 minutes of the show, we're going to be talking about the specials everywhere, all of our places have, and explaining how to best use those for you if you're new or if you're returning or whatever. That's a new thing we're going to start doing on the Monday show. And also talking about like what we're doing, as far as specials or different readings, because you have different premium readings. I have different premium readings.
yes.
So we'll talk about those too. All right, guys, it's time for that another break. We'll be right back.
Try psychic reading on your phone. Your first 3 minutes are free. First, choose a topic or method. Second, choose a psychic. Third, start a call or chat. The first 3 minutes are on us. Install Zodiac Psychics now. Talk to a gifted and trusted psychic advisor.
For so long, everything was difficult because I was allowing it to be and almost finding more comfort in that chaos.
My psychic advisor really helped me stop and take a breath and look within and be okay with what was happening right now.
Having that 24/7 access is amazing. Just a quick moment to get some clarity.
We are here on a journey, and we can't always control it. All we can do is be along for the ride.
All right, welcome back. So, so we like meeting clients where they are. Both of us do that. And where the best deals and stuff is. How do you take care of your own self? Because we walk through hell every day.
I'm lucky. Go back to Buckingham Palace. I live close to Sandringham,
Ooh.
the Queen's other house.
Uh-huh.
Yes, I know. And they've got a big forestry,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll go walking there. But as well, I live 20 minutes from the ocean. I think you call it the ocean, whereas we call it the sea. And I go there a lot. I just go there, and it can be freezing cold, but I'll take my shoes and socks off and I'll stand there and just let the waves come up to me and take all the negative energies away.
Mm-hmm. Very cool.
For myself.
There's
go
a
on.
leader in where is it? Scandinavia. I'm friends with. She does this thing called sea bathing in like freezing cold weather. She will put her robe on and go dive into the sea and swim for an hour every day, no matter the weather.
She's braver than me.
Me too. I said you're crazy. She says no, it's exhilarating and it's great for the skin. And I'm like, I'm not too sure on that one.
But also,
no.
myself and my son, we've got lots of animals.
Uh-huh.
We've got musk turtles, we've got a tortoise, we've got a dog. As I introduced you to my naughty kitten before we started. And that's what I do a lot with as well. I take them out in the garden. We do what we want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, that's downtime because it's outside being with nature.
Mm-hmm. Right. And it's time to recharge and refocus.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Now,
definitely.
do you journal a lot? Because I know I journal a lot and write a lot.
1, 2, 3.
Wow. Yes, you do journal a lot.
All in my workspace.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Because to me, how can I put it? On times I'll do a reading and my guide is just boof, boof, boof all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So before I can pass that information on, I'll write it down so that I don't forget as it's coming to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because I think what people forget is we are just the messengers.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And sometimes they're bombarding, like 30 questions before you've even introduced yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do that, I always say, because you waste more time then, because we've then got to scroll back up, reread everything, just list them one at a time.
Yeah.
And then we don't have to worry that we are missing something. But that's why I have my books by me constantly.
Yes, and that is very important to and also point out there is because what's real fun and my guide's name's David. So David will be pulling the customer file. The customer is sending 30 questions at a time, and he's like, "Hold on here, and spirit time is different than real time. I have figured this out." Because I'll be like typing the reading and he'll be like throwing out, yeah, but he's an idiot. Go to the next, boom, boom, boom. And I'm like, can you give me a minute over here? My transcription is not that fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think as well, clients need to remember that we are normal and we've got to go at the pace that our guides set us.
Right.
And like when I'm reading, a name will pop in. And then
Mhm.
somebody will come back to me and say, what does this name mean? I'll hold my hands up and say, if a name comes into your reading, it's there for a reason, so keep that name safe.
Mhm.
And as you know yourself, if spirit want a client to know something, they're letting them know whether we want them to know or not.
Exactly. And I got tired of the migraines because, I'm answering the class calls like, when's he going to call, that type of thing. And the guy will pop in and go, she don't need to know when he's going to call. She needs to be paying attention to this other one. And they're
Yeah.
like, no, I'm totally committed to him. And it's like, see me in 3 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then you're probably the same. When we pass messages on, the client will say, that's not right, that's not going to happen. And I always say, just watch this space. If my guide is telling me something, they're telling me for a reason.
Mm-hmm. Very much so. And, and I don't know. Sometimes clients come in and it's like they want to know, like, and these are the harder cases for me at least. Like they've been waiting on this dude for 5 years to get his act together and to do everything he needs to do and to actually ante up. And it's like, honey, he hasn't called you in a month. He hasn't, there is now a cease and desist or a peace order out.
Yeah.
Time to move on. And here's the options you have to move on to. Like you're just sitting there. And then I have the other side of that where they're just rushing ahead.
Yes.
And the guy or the girl is totally in love with them, but they're taking a very relaxed pace at building the relationship.
Yeah.
And it's like, he doesn't love me. And it's like, yeah, he loves you. You're just moving too fast. Well, he never calls me. You don't give him a chance to call. You're calling him every 14 minutes.
Yeah. And I'm a great believer in, perhaps this is the old-fashionedness in the way that I read. Before a relationship can begin, you've got to build boundaries. You need to build trust. Without trust and boundaries, a relationship won't work.
No, it won't. It won't work on any scheme of the imagination.
No. And I think that's what a lot of people don't realize is the amount of people that meet somebody on a Monday and on a Tuesday they're asking, are they going to get married? Whoa, hang on. You've got to get to know each other before you even think of going down that path.
Right. Because what if you do get married? Yeah, you may be set to get married, but 3 months in, you decide you don't really care for him. He's quite boring. Or, but you've already set your determination and you're already manifesting that you're going to marry this person.
Yeah.
Well, you better get used to boring. And that's the other thing is I think that the newer generation has forgotten. And I think this is because people read Cinderella to them too young and too often. That a relationship is a negotiational process.
Yes.
You're building a negotiation, especially in the early days. You got to set boundaries and expectations and behavior acceptance. And, the new age Facebook friend, Instagram follower, all this doesn't mesh a lot with the biometrical idea of negotiation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And the relationships are give and take.
A relationship is a unison of two people coming together. It's
very
a unison.
So.
Sean, you're on the camera, boy. Sorry, that was my son getting the cat.
Yeah.
It's a unison of the two of you being as one. I've got a tattoo on my arm. Oh, where are we? And it says 2 hearts become 1 soul. Before that can happen, the 2 hearts have got to come together.
Right.
So that they can see that this is the way forward. It's no good having, right, there's me and you.
Right.
We've just met. And I'm saying to you, come on, let's get married. Let's do this. And you're like, whoa, hang on. It's about moving together at the steady pace.
Right. and about taking those steps together. It's
Yes.
like when we were redesigning and building the show, it was like, so what time do you want to have it at? What day
Yeah.
do you want to move it to? What do you want to do here? How do you do, what do you want to do with this? What topics are we going to talk about? And it's a negotiational thing
Yeah.
for both parties to get what they need out of it. A relationship's the same thing. If
Yes.
you can't come to agreements, and this is what I see often in relationships, and it's like, we all just settle this. They have the same fight every 3 to 6 months. One of them acquiesces to the other.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful relationship, except this one problem. Like, he doesn't answer her phone calls. Why is he not answering her phone calls? He's 6 hours ahead of you. He's not going to
Yeah.
answer the phone call because he's asleep. Come to a
Yeah.
better acquiescence of him calling you before he goes to sleep. Or, this type of thing. Because, I don't know. I've been in this business 30-ish years. We're not going to go farther than that, but 30-ish years. What about you, darling? How long have you been in this business? At least about the same, I believe.
I would say yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
So
trying to
over
work it
that
out.
time, we have seen social media become now the bigger killer in relationships.
Do you know what? The amount of people that say to me, I've seen this on social media. He's liking girls' pictures on social media. Hello, darling. Social media isn't the real world. Social media is something that people use to make themselves look good.
Mm-hmm. It is. It's
Social
the window
media,
dressing.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
If you're going out with the girls, you'll put a photo to say, hey, look, I'm going out. 1,000 people will like it. One man likes it, and all of a sudden, his relationship is over with. No, social media isn't the real world. We're having a conversation here. We
Mm-hmm.
speak privately when we need to. That
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean I fancy you. I'm not going to run
Exactly.
away with you.
No. And it's like, and that's the more important thing there is, one, guys are still trying to figure out social media because for them it's high school. It's how
Yes,
popular they are.
yes,
How many, if you, especially, and I will say this very pointedly, straight men, y'all guys need to figure out your damn social media and save me some time.
yes,
Okay. And yeah, they're posting pics and they're doing this, they're doing that, they're doing it for attention. That's what they do
yeah,
it for, you
yeah,
know. And then, but women take it, and I must say, feminine energy, because I've had men do the same damn thing. Take it
yes,
much more serious. They have a very small group of friends, like everybody on the friends list. They don't need a private invite to their birthday party. They can just post it on social media and everybody shows up with a dish.
yes,
That is a total different dichotomy there, and guys haven't figured it out yet. Women haven't figured out that men really don't know it. It's like the newest one, TikTok. Their like button is right where you scroll at. So every fat fingered person that's over a size 8 finger likes every video they see.
yeah.
Not true. Not true. Same thing with
And
Instagram.
the other thing is, I also see social media as a good way to see if you trust your partner.
Mm-hmm.
If he likes a woman's picture and you're having a meltdown about it, it's like, stop. If you don't trust him now, what's it going to be like in 10 years' time?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I just don't understand why it's such a big thing. Perhaps it's because we go back to the days of where you courted somebody before you actually introduced them to people. You done things together. Now, if you look at it, young people these days, they go on a date and they sit on their phones.
Exactly. And
There's no
they'll have what I call the
communication.
pre-date. What I call
Yes,
the pre-date, which used to be, so I'd like to pick you up Friday night. There's a band playing at the local pub. We'll go see you. There's a lovely dinner. We'll pick that up, and then we'll see where things go. Oh no, honey, they're sitting there on social media. So I want to go here Friday night, and I want to do this, and there's this continual conversation.
Yes. Yeah.
Most people that are in new relationships right now talk more than me and my husband of 10 years talk on a daily basis.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, but we also see bi-coastal and long distance and multi-country relationships more often than not now. Like that was the rarity. Now it's almost like, yeah, he's in LA and I'm in Uzbekistan and we're planning on moving to blah 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 in 2 years. Do you see that happening? And it's like, yeah, it actually works that way. And I think it's amazing.
I had one client this week who said, "Where will I be in 5 years' time?" And I was like, hang on. How can spirit tell you where you're going to be in 5 years' time when you haven't made any decisions for yourself? Spirit will advise you where you will be, but you choose your own life path along the way.
Right.
And I
And
think
your own
that's a big
direction.
thing.
Right.
Because people expect spirit to give them the answers there and then. Nothing in life is set in stone.
Mm-mm.
And I think that's what people got to understand as well. They do things that change things for their life path.
Mm-hmm. Well, not only that, but we've lost the concept of free will. And we'll talk
Yes.
about that. We got to take a break. We'll be right back. Let's talk about free will and what psychic energy is really used for.
Yes.
Live tarot and psychic readings. Get 3 free minutes on your first session. Find answers and peace of mind anywhere, anytime. Install Zodiac Psychic now and find your spiritual advisor.
For so long, everything was difficult because I was allowing it to be and almost finding more comfort in that chaos.
My psychic advisor really helped me stop and take a breath and look within and be okay with what was happening right now.
Having that 24/7 access is amazing. Just a quick moment to get some clarity.
We are here on a journey and we can't always control it. All we can do is be along for the ride.
And welcome
Right.
back. Can I just explain to our watchers? When my son came downstairs, he had a vest top on, so he flashed his arm. The kitten was actually climbing up my leg, and she's 8 weeks old. So it was
Aw.
like pin needles, and I didn't want to move, so my son come and rescued me.
Oh, honey, that's going to happen. That's what happens with a live show. I've had my dog knock the camera off because he wants attention or whatever. Yeah.
So I do apologize, guys.
Oh, please, honey. It was perfectly fine. I was just letting you know he's there. Your son's there. I don't know if you know your son's there, but, he doesn't need to be asking when tea is. Midnight snack, right?
Yeah, well, it's nearly midnight. My son, who come down, is actually gifted.
Ah.
He don't accept it.
Uh-huh.
He's at the stage of his life, he's 23. So he's at the stage of his life where mum just get on with it sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I just say to him, did you hear that? And he hears a lot of things, but he don't tell me as well.
Ah. Okay. Well, we were talking about free will.
Yeah.
And how psychic readings, we tell you it's the same, and the best thing, I used to say that it's like watching a videotape of what could happen, But
Yes.
you can wake up tomorrow and go, you know what? I'm done with this. I'm done with the rain, or I'm done with the sun, or whatever. I'm off to Cancun, and I'm going to live in Cancun. Well, great. Every reading you had up to that point is probably null and void. Go back and check with your reader about where anything else is going, because you just
Yes.
sold everything. You took a drastic course off. It's the same thing as you tell your car, navigate to Walmart, and it's going to navigate you to Walmart or Piggly Wiggly or whatever the store is. But if you get there and you're driving along and you're like, no, I don't want to take this left turn, I'm taking a right turn. Or I'm hopping on the train, forget this crap of driving. It doesn't negate it. You're still going to end up there. You're just taking a different course.
Yeah.
That's when you go back and get it checked in. Do you agree with that viewpoint of that's how free will is deployed? It's because, like, just because we say a relationship is useless doesn't mean that it is. It means that here's the things you have to work on. You have to choose to work on to keep that relationship.
Yeah. And the other thing that really, I'm not going to say annoys me, but frustrates me, you've worked with a client for 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
The relationship has been really volatile. You've said so many times, don't go contacting him. He needs time to calm down. And then they come back to you 2 days later and said, well, I had to send him a text because I was missing him. It's like, oh, you're going against all the advice you've been given. You're going to delay things. And then that would be our fault as a reader that nothing have happened.
Mm-hmm. When it's like, no, put your phone in the icebox.
Yeah. Or I say, rather than text him, send a random text to a friend. Do anything but text him.
Mm-hmm. Very much so. If you're lonely, you have a problem.
Yes.
That's not love, that's obsession.
Yes. And I find that a lot more with, I won't say younger people, I'd say people between the ages of 30 and 40.
Mm-hmm.
They feel they need that in their life.
Right.
And
it's
like,
because they got used to that constant contact. Because I don't know, when I grew up, the phone was in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And the post only ran 6 days a week. So you either got a phone call and everybody in the house heard you, or you got a letter, but it would be delayed. It's not instant.
Yeah. And I think there's a very thin line as well between obsession and habit.
Yes.
A lot of people say, I can't do without this person. Well, actually, you can. It's a habit you need to break.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Oh, it makes total sense. All right, guys, let's take a look. Since we don't have the up-to-date marketing report that we'll be giving you each week, we're going to look at our 3 networks here and tell you, as first-time clients, what you can get right now. These are the current sales. All right, so at Zodiac Psychic, you got 60% off plus 3 free minutes on your first reading. What can you do with those 3 free minutes, darling?
A lot.
Yeah.
A lot. Remember, don't come in and bombard with loads of questions. It's important that you introduce yourself. It's important that we have your full name and date of birth, because we have a legal system that we have to work by.
Right.
Let me explain this to you to save wasting your time and your money. We can't answer anything on legal. We are not allowed to answer anything on health. And future pregnancies, fertility is a big no-no. So keep that in mind when you come to us as readers, because we feel bad having to say to you, I'm sorry, due to our terms and conditions, we can't answer that question.
Right. Okay, then we have over on Fortunica. They've got a really cool one now. Ask 3 questions and get non-expert answers. Now, these are private questions for new customers. This isn't the public where you go there.
Yeah. That is really, really good, because use those questions, those free ones, as an opportunity, because you're a new client, to find your favorite readers. When it comes to readers, I always say, look through the list, and whoever jumps out at you, you'll have a connection with.
Mm-hmm.
Because your guide will draw you towards that reader.
Right.
And
Right.
I don't know if you agree with that.
Oh, I totally agree with that. I totally agree with that. And I totally see it. Now, the other network that we have sponsored is, of course, Keen. And Keen has its standard offer of 10 minutes for $1.99. And you don't have to use those all with the same reader. You can like pick and choose and use like 3 here and 4 there or whatever. So that works really good. And then Modern Spiritual, which is our home unifying network, they have private sessions up for different blocks of time. So you can check out all 3 of those. Now, when do you normally work? Because this is an important thing of trying to work out when we're online.
I'm based in the UK, and just to give the viewers like an inkling, now while we're broadcasting, it is 11 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
I stay on Zodiac. I work from 9 in the morning until about 11 at night. I do have 3 hours breaks within that time frame because I need space to revitalize and regenerate myself. With Fortunica, I'm on there from about 9 o'clock in the morning until 9 o'clock at night.
Mm-hmm.
I don't stay any longer on Fortunica because that's really draining.
Mm-hmm. It is.
So I'm back and forth for Fortunica all day. But guys, keep in mind, I am in the UK.
Right. So that means she's 6 hours ahead of you. No, 5 hours ahead of you. Currently, wintertime, you'll become 6 hours ahead of you if you're
That's
EST.
correct, yeah.
Or 2 hours behind you if you're out of our home base of Germany.
Now stop confusing things.
Okay. Oh, it's fun, honey. Trying to calculate things. When I first, I love that the new Windows has it to where I can just have the clocks for everybody in the corner here. But in the old days, if I went to, like, if home office moved somewhere, they got a new clock. If I started working like with you, I'd go out and buy you a clock and hang it on the wall so I knew what time it was. Because I don't like, messaging or whatever at like 2 in your morning. Because it's like, no, she's already off in spirit working. She doesn't need me binging in to bother her. But I was going to also bring up, are you on Purple Ocean? Because I am not.
No, I'm not. I'm not.
Are you on Keen?
No.
Okay. I am on Keen, and that's why we're going to bring up the Keen. And we're both listed on Modern Spiritual, but I think you're still working on your classes. Or do you
I like to work through one step at a time, if that makes sense.
It does.
So with Modern Spiritual, I think I wanted to try these live broadcasts first to see how I fitted into things. Because it's strange. Yes, it's strange for the client, but it's also strange for us as readers to break into a new area.
And a new way of doing things.
Yes. Yeah. I like live broadcasting.
Yeah.
Because all types of bloopers happen. But it shows that we are natural and normal as well. And that's what it's about.
Exactly. Well, honey, I will see you again at 10 o'clock BTST, 5 o'clock EST next Monday. And we're going to be talking about reading styles.
Oh, good. I'm writing that down on my book.
Awesome. All right, guys. Our links are in descriptions if you'd like to book sessions with us, and there'll be other links coming up in our shows on where you can reach us on each network. Okay, guys? You have a magical week. We'll be around if you need us. Bye.
Bye.